Oh, the chef has arrived with his helper. It is about to go down. Look at these fine men. Kirk Vidrine with V-Well Solutions.
Here to have a good time.
Hallelujah.
Yes, sir. Like this. And that way most of the seeds are going to stay in the limit itself and the rest will just
I never
pour
thought
right
to
out.
squeeze it upside down.
It works. It's a useful thing. You don't have to put a second hand underneath it to catch all the seeds. Simple, easy little trick. Now from that point we can sweeten it a little more with some sugar. You can either make what's called simple syrup.
I'm just getting you out of a towel.
Thank you. Simple syrup is nothing more than sugar and water that's been cooked to the point where sugar disappears. The oil gets nice and tired until this gets really cold. And that's when you know you're there. And
That's a professional shake, bro.
well, I've been doing this for a while. Turns into our
pretty
beautiful purple
Aviation.
aviation. And we finish it with something just a little bit interesting and fun rated for all the adults in the room. Really nice cherries.
Oh, I thought that's what that was. Me too.
Now you want to get the good ones. Do you see how dark that syrup is right here?
Yeah.
So the really good cherries are very expensive. They're about $20 for one of these bottles. We don't use many of them. It lasts forever. But man, the difference in the flavor between these and the ones that are bright pinky red is night and day. Ends off. This is the wrong thing to do. Instead, what I want you to do is just cut one end off, right? And put it down. This is called giving it feet. Now it's steady. And then once you're here, you're going to take the top, put your hand on it, cut it right in half. You can have two nice pretty sides to it. Now the next thing that'll happen is that people who have busy lives and children, like I do, will attempt to peel the outer skin. Now what you notice is this is a real pain. Like this is slow and tedious. And you also notice that onions are cheap. And so therefore you should just not waste your life. Go ahead and just peel the entire layer off the first part.
That's what I do.
Just move
I
it.
can't be bothered. Yeah.
And you shouldn't be. It is not worth all the time and effort. Just rip the whole first part off.
That landed right in the glass.
Did it really?
Right here, the middle one.
Oh yeah, it flew up.
I meant to do
Points
that.
for you.
No,
We
man.
did that on purpose. It was magic.
No, Stephen Curry's got nothing on me.
He said onions.
All right, now look.
That's funny.
This is what we're going to do. I'm going to show you two ways to chop. All right. The first thing I want to show you is how to chop in a safe way that is easy for anybody who's not a chef. But what you don't do is don't cut all the way. Stop short, right? Like this. And then once you have that, turn the cut side towards you. Take the tip of your knife and just cut again towards the back end without going through the bottom. So as we get to the end here, this is all still together. Now watch. When we're doing this, we're going to go slow, fast, and slow. So I'm going to take my knife. I'm just going to really slowly start to work my way through the onion. And as I get a groove, I'm going to pick up my pace a little bit. And then when I get close to my fingers, I'm going to slow down.
Where's that?
Some people are really sensitive, but you saw that part that we're going to cut off? That's our safety valve.
Okay.
And then the other thing, by one, it gives you a safety valve so you don't cut your hands, and two, look how nice and neat this is. Instead of it going all over the place when you cut it off, because you left that back end on, everything stayed very neat. You do what's called the claw. I'll move this out the way so everybody can see. The claw simply means that you bend your fingers in like this.
Yeah.
Right? And as you're gripping the vegetable, whatever else you're gripping, you're using the front knuckles of your hand as a way to guide the blade. So they're just kind of following the blade the whole time. Right? So they're really safe unless you do one of two things. Unless you go over, then they're not as safe. The other thing is your thumb, if it goes forward, sometimes it'll get caught. So as long as you keep it here, you're gonna be safe. Now, it looks scary because we go really fast when we do this. I'm gonna get up here and show you what it looks like. Please try not to panic. That looks really scary, but the entire time, this knuckle right here is just guiding the blade all the way through. So as scary as that sounds, with practice, this is actually the safest way to cut vegetables. Again,
Let's have some applause. That's the chef's way, right?
that's the chef's way. Each one of these is a single clove. So when you read recipes, that's what that means. But there are two ways. Now, this paper on the back end is not edible. You technically, I guess you could eat it. It's not going to be tasty though. So you have to get the paper off of the garlic to be able to use it. Now there's two different ways to do that, Christian. Way number one is what we call the Friday way. And that means that the week is over. Tommy's finished all putting the doors and windows in, siding's all together. He's sitting down with a craft beer and he's relaxing. At that point in time, Sarah's got her blade right here. You put the heavy end of the blade here. You take the palm of your hand, again, fingers wide, and you just tap. It's very, very simple. It's very easy. And what'll happen is the clove will come right out. That is the Friday way to do this. But it's not always Friday. There are these other days in the week, and one of them is called a Monday. If anybody's ever been on a Monday, that is a very different day.
I can show you what I do on Monday.
On Mondays, you may have too many emails in your inbox. The kids might be annoying you. There may be a lot of things going on
Right?
that makes it to where you need a different method to peel garlic. It's very important that you learn this method because it's very, very useful. One, it gets the garlic done. Two, it serves other purposes. So what you do is you focus down very heavily on the garlic. You take a deep breath in and you go.
Whoa!
That's what he needs.
Shockingly satisfying is what that is. One, your stress levels will go down. Two, your children will be frightened of you, so they'll leave you alone.
And you
leave the
tell
kitchen.
yourself before you do it, this is my husband's face.
Exactly.
Toddies.
See? I'm not a fan of hotty toddies because I don't like Ole Miss. But other than that,
Ole Miss.
yeah, Ole Miss, the school, hotty toddies is sort of a big thing over
Oh,
there.
I didn't know that. Well,
It is.
we found out about it when we went to Breckenridge in January.
Oh, I love Breckenridge.
Oh,
There's a
you love
great
that.
restaurant that closed that had some of the best food I've ever eaten in my life, and it really looked like it was a bar. In fact, it looked like a biker bar that was scared to go in. We only went in because we couldn't find another restaurant that we could get in. The kids were starving. We were freezing. And we looked at it, my wife and I were like, well, looks like they have food.
Let's go.
So we walked in. I'm like, I hope we don't get beat up, and I hope our kids are not showing things they're not supposed to see at this age. And it turned out it was one of the most foodie places of all time. It was
Awesome.
utterly
And they
fantastic.
closed, you said?
Closed.
Aww.
They had some of the coolest
Well, then you
hot
need,
sauces.
you need to go there and open up a restaurant.
I'm gonna leave some of the juice because I'm gonna use
Putting in the
not all of it.
artichoke hearts.
and that's gonna add just tons and tons of flavor. Salt.
A little
You
bit of
may have
cumin.
heard about the
Little
health
bit of
benefits
salt.
of sea salt. The truth is that's nonsense. Salt is salt in general, whether it's sea salt or not. The only one that makes any difference for certain people with some serious medical conditions, Himalayan salt is something when they are allergic to other salts they can get away with eating. But
Just a
Dump
little
the
bit of
oil
tahini.
off, or did
I stirred it in.
you stirred it in?
Mhm.
Okay.
Now, I wouldn't be against dumping the oil off, but I stirred mine in. You let that go probably for a bit.
That's not even that
Making some homemade hummus.
But my favorite way is the old-fashioned way, is just to use pita bread. Now, I do have some pita bread, and we can talk about carbohydrates, because that's usually one of my favorite subjects to talk about. It's the most controversial subject out there,
Yeah,
which makes it even more fun.
Yeah, I'm right.
This
I love
stuff
that.
is
I love smoked that.
amazing. I love it. I put it on almost anything at this point in time. I almost don't have paprika anymore. We're just going to put a little sprinkle. And then I'll finish off with a drizzle of olive oil. And
I think
ladies
it's time for some more applause, man.
Yeah.
Woo!
Well, Mom, given that it is your birthday dinner, what rice? I love this because we don't even need a measuring cup.
Oh, okay.
Just put that in there, right? Now what we're doing here, when you do rice, it will hydrate at a 1-to-1 ratio. The problem is, as you're cooking the rice, some of the water is going to steam off. That's what you're accounting for. This is why when you do 1 cup of rice, they'll tell you to put 1.5 cups of water. But if you do 3 cups of rice and you put 4.5 cups of water, you're going to end up with mush rice because it'll be too much water.
Yeah, I don't
because
like
not
that.
enough will go out. It still cooks in about 18 minutes. So to get it right, there's a trick. Depending on the pot size, this is about the one most people cook with, you use your first knuckle. I know that seems silly, it works every time. Simply put your finger at the top of the rice and then fill it up with liquid to your first knuckle. And that will get you
Suppose
just
you
right.
have really large hands.
Then it'll be half your knuckle. It is a little different. Sometimes you have to play with it, but it is a work that works almost every time. And I'm gonna add some salt. How much salt? It's
Cinnamon
usually about-
stick, lemon, and salt in the rice.
It smells like right there by the olive oil.
To one knuckle. Ooh. Take it and move on with life. That's it. Don't overthink it. It's very simple. The only part you don't want is the little strings at the end. Everything else is fine. When I'm in a hurry,
Oh, so
that's
you
all
only
I'm gonna-
use the green part? No.
well, I mean, you could use all this if I really, really wanted to. It
Oh, he
wouldn't
didn't
matter.
use the white part. Okay.
Some of them have longer white parts in them. Either way, it's
Okay,
really
so
fine.
the green part.
So we'll add a little bit of salt to that. We're gonna add a little bit of pepper. Sean, would you hand me the pepper? And we're gonna add our secret ingredient, that's smoked paprika.
Oh yeah,
That is gonna blow.
Rocky, come.
smoked paprika, baby.
What is that?
This is black pepper.
Black pepper.
This is black pepper. I'm gonna hit it up with a little bit of smoked paprika, tablespoon or so,
Stay.
till it smells like my life is on fire. And then I'm gonna add in my bell peppers. See? There it is.
Yeah.
Be the next thing he does when he gets home. So he's walking around. And I'll add our tomatoes. Look at that. Now we're going to be pushing our size limit with this. But let's see if we can get two more in. We may make a mess. Sometimes what I'll do too is I'll drain the tomatoes just to keep some of the flavors a little thicker.
Chef Sean, ladies and gentlemen, doing a fantastic job.
Woo! My Mac has got some
Graham
cinnamon, it's
Masala.
got some
Reminds me of
cloves.
Thanksgiving.
Now we're gonna, exactly like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Now we're gonna put that into meatballs, right? Now the thing is, if you put a lot, you're not gonna be able to eat the meatball. So a lot of times with Cajuns, we like to overspice things. Exactly, I'm with you. I'm with that too. Little Tony's going heavy. But this one you can't, because it's so strong you have to put just a bit. So we have about 2 pounds of ground meat, and we're gonna put about 2 teaspoons of it, more than enough. Or, well, more than 4 ounces for you guys. But for 8 people, it'll be about 4 ounces each. Now, the easiest thing to do for me, because I'm a simple math guy, is just to break it up into sections, right? What we'll do here, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Oh, I gotta show you guys the chicken hand too. So here's the salt. We'll put a little bit right there, a little more. That'll be enough. All right, now you notice that I touched this with my hands. If you are working and you do not want to get other people sick, what you do is if you have to touch something else or take a break, you raise your hand in the air. This is called the chicken hand. What it will do is it will get you teased. People will mock you. Your kids will give you all kind of troubles. You look kind of silly walking around with your hand up. This is usually the part where people start asking me a lot of questions to see how I'm going to keep my hand up in the air. I'm on to your tricks. What did you get? I got you. I know how that works. But what it'll do is it'll prevent you from accidentally touching everything else because people do forget what you're doing. What we'll do here is I'm going to break it up. This is 2 pounds essentially. I'm going to cut this off. That is 1 pound. Cut it again. Half a pound. Boom. Boom. Now from this little spot here, I'm just going to catch each one and oh, I need to mix them up. I forgot to mix them. We'll mix it first and I'll do the same thing. I'm going to turn them into little 1 ounce meatballs essentially. So each one will be about 1 ounce a piece. And you can smell how good that is already. So we were using 90% lean ground beef. Balls each. Kind of roll them along. And if I was next to the thing, I'd literally be throwing them in as I was rolling them. So you go that kind of quick. And you'll get so fast at it, it'll be nothing. Right? You just palm it, cup it, roll your hands in opposite directions. And you have. One of the best ways to get to that is to learn how to do the shake. And the shake, not using it, is nothing more.
Yeah.
That's great. And see, we're getting that crust on there. That's what we're looking for. And because I can shake it, I don't have to dirty another dish. I don't have to mess around with it anymore. You're just going to keep shaking. Now, when you get really good, you can toss. Now, this is a little heavy. There's a lot of meatballs somewhere. I'll just frame and toss it.
I'd be petrified to cross that.
You could. We're going to go ahead and...
Oh yeah, It don't get any better than that, baby.
We'll fill this bad boy up.
Woo!
Probably about all I can handle before we overdo it. So we're gonna sit this here. I'll give it a little stir. I'm just gonna gently mix it in all the way around, and we're just gonna heat it up. And as this comes to a simmer, it's gonna finish cooking the meatballs, and the meatballs are gonna absorb some of that sauce, and the sauce is gonna absorb some of the meatball flavor, and it's just gonna make it rich and delicious. Now, the longer you sat this on here, within reason, within an hour or so, it would actually taste better and better. But as soon as it comes to a simmer, less than 5 minutes later, you can serve it. So I've done this exact dish that way. I would take really like
Snap.
any kind of mushroom you like. I would toss it in the same spices. I would toss it.
Oh yeah.
I would leave that as my 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll finish steaming and cooking in that period of time. And we're ready. This entire meal is done. So what I need now is 6 plates, Sarah. If you
Right there.
Right there.
Ah, beautiful. So I'll show you how I like to plate
Snap.
this particular meal.
There's more than 6 plates here, because I can place here for you and your son.
Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind. We'll move this all around. And then to make it pretty, what we're going to do is I'm going to push them kind of out to the side like this. Kind of make a circle. And it's going to act a little bit like a catch. You don't obviously have to do this, but it makes you look like a
Oh, I
rock
like
star.
it when you serve something that looks really pretty.
It's very simple. I'm just kind of pushing the rice through, around to the sides. One with sauce to spare.